Friends, welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs. Specs Wines and Spirits and Finer Foods has been a Texas family-owned destination for selection and savings since 1962. It's your one-stop shop with literally thousands of wines, spirits, and beers at everyday lower prices here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And, okay, let's see everybody's favorite part of the show. Ava Davis, your favorite part of the show was?
My favorite part of the show was Jalen. He was great.
Jalen.
Great interview. Jalen
was great. Jalen Wydermyer, that is. Nick Savage, who was your favorite part of the show?
I just want to know, David, do you think you could take bouncer Jalen Wydermyer? You know, you're at a bar getting a little crunk, and he walks up to you and says, "Hey, I need you to leave." Are you squaring up, or you think he's just going to haul you up and throw you out the window?
I would say yes, sir. If he puts his hands on me, those hands are the size of my face. If he puts his hands on me, I don't think he's been, he's been trained in the arts. I would probably just leave. I don't like violence, Nick.
Yeah,
all right?
That's a business decision. I like it.
Yeah.
But I liked J.D. PicKell.
J.D. was really good, okay? I liked Josh Pate.
What an all-star show.
Who was on the rewind,
though? All those three guys plus Trey Wallace.
Okay, I love Trey Wallace, too. Check it. It's the rewind. You had A&M in that Tier 2. South Carolina, Texas A&M, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. I think Ole Miss was on there as well. Just talk a little bit about Tier 2 and how close they can be potentially to Tier 1, or if potentially Tier 1, if things don't go as planned, how close they could be to Tier 2.
Yeah, the whole purpose behind that was looking at odds, my own personal feelings, the way I'll go on predictions. Do you think it's fair to say most people look at the SEC right now, whether they're right or wrong? Do you think it's true most people look at the conference and say, there is a top four in any given order of Bama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, and then there's a drop-off to the next tier? Do you think that's fair to say?
100% fair to say, but I would say LSU is one of those that I can make an argument for Tier 1, but almost make an argument for Tier 2 based on some of the unknowns.
Okay, so you and I agree on this, actually, but I don't think we're in the majority. I think the majority believes it's those four, and maybe LSU not even being the fourth team out of those four. Some people have them 1, 2, or 3, but I think most people would disagree with you and I. Most people would say LSU is unequivocally in that top four, and so that's a matter of take predictions for whatever you take them for. So my point in doing all the Tier 1, Tier 2 stuff was to illustrate how the tiers are almost totally irrelevant this year, because there's virtually no separation in Tier 1, Tier 2. You and I can remember, anyone watching this can remember, less than a decade ago, you would have come into any given season, and it's Alabama and then the field, and maybe occasionally when Kirby got to Georgia, it was Alabama and maybe Georgia, but there was this drop-off to where if you suggested anyone other than that team or those couple of teams were going to win the league, someone would have said, what do you think? They're going to be like critically injured? What's going to happen? Like, what kind of disaster has to happen in Tuscaloosa? Well, that's not the landscape of the conference anymore, period. But especially this year, if you say, I don't think Georgia's going to win the league, I don't think Texas is going to win the league, you just think it's going to be a nice, really, really competitive top end of the conference this year. But my point with the Tier 2 stuff is, I'm not just saying it's going to be competitive in relation to Tier 1 teams being able to win it. There's not a whole lot that has to go wrong, so to speak, for Oklahoma or South Carolina or Florida or Texas A&M to win the conference. And normally, I've heard people nod their head, like they're doing like you're doing right now. You're nodding your head. When they nod their head, they're thinking, yeah, they could have a good, solid season. But I'm not talking about a good, solid season. I'm talking about Mike Elko holds up the SEC championship trophy in Atlanta in December, and I'm thinking that in August, and I'm thinking that's not crazy.
So did I hear you correctly? You had a real job, like a real, like a 9-to-5 kind of thing?
Yes, I worked security. Hated it. But it was the closest thing to football that I can get, throwing people out the club. So
I gotta imagine, man, nobody was messing with you, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
How did you fall into it?
Fun. I'm sorry?
How did you fall into it? Like, how did that become the gig? Like, did you know somebody doing it? Did it just fall on your lap?
It just kind of fell in my lap. It was like a thing just to keep me busy. It wasn't really about money. It was more so just to keep me busy. to do stuff, to actually try a job and see how it goes. My dad was like, hey, you never had a job? Just go find the easy one. Security's not hard. All you got to do is make sure people don't do any dumb stuff. So as I was doing that, I was just like, man, having a job and playing football, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with football every single time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to your time at A&M. How did you end up at A&M? What was your reasoning to kind of take us through that whole recruiting process and how you ended up being an Aggie?
I would say I wasn't recruited under Coach Sumlin, but as soon as Jimbo got here, he kind of put his eyes on me, and he came to my basketball games, and he was like, you are a really good basketball player, but I know what you can do on the field. You're a great football player. And I was getting a ton of offers, SEC offers, and once I got my first one, that's when A&M and Alabama and Georgia all started to roll in, and it was out of A&M in Miami. I loved Miami, but I knew A&M was home for me, especially once I sat down and had to talk with Jimbo about what I can do here, what he could do with me and my skill set, and also what can happen after football, because that's a big part that I didn't think about while I was. That's a big part of what I was thinking about while I was getting recruited. You know what I mean? So like the Aggie Network, 029. So I definitely made sure to take advantage of that.
I just think it's fascinating. You probably could attest to this, David, as well as anybody. Whenever you're just talking to one of your buddies or you're in the group chat or whatever it is, and you pitch the idea of A&M being good, it's very quickly met with, well, but Texas 8-4, well, but last year they didn't, well, but a couple of years ago. And I think it would just be, I think we would all be much better if we could just take a second. We would all be better as a society for it if we could just take a second and say, no, not last year, not Jimbo Fisher, not Kevin Sumlin. Tell me why this year's team won't be really freaking good. And I'm not saying they're going to go win the national championship, but if like the idea of them making the college football playoff to a lot of folks is like unfathomable. And a lot of the reasons why that seems to be the case for some folks is going back to the ideas of Texas 8-4 and the logo, and they haven't done this. And I'm like, well, Mike Elko wasn't there during the Jimbo Fisher era as the head coach. Jimbo Fisher was the head coach. Marcel Reed wasn't a part of those seasons. And so when you look at the 2025 season and the 2025 team as just that, what they are in the context of this year, there's a ton for me to be excited about. I mean, we're talking about everyone else around the SEC breaking in a new quarterback. It's like A&M's not doing that with Marcel Reed. Like everyone's trying to figure out what they have on their roster with those usual suspects, if you will, like the Georgias and Texas replacing a lot up front. It's like A&M's top 10 in returning production. So I think the exercise and the idea about A&M and what they have been previously bears way too much weight in people's opinion and what they are going to be in 2025.
JD, I think I'm part of the problem, and I'm going to explain to you the why behind it. And I agree with everything you say, but I sometimes it kind of depends. Like I as a talk show host doing 15 hours of radio a week, right? Like I have moments where I think this team's going to go 10-2, but for the most part, I have them in the 9-3, 8-4 range. And I think part of that is because if you look at the last three coaches, all right, Mike Sherman had one really great season, a really nice season. Summy had 2012, which was amazing, right? Jimbo had 2020. I think they were robbed of a playoff spot, right? But there just hasn't been sustainability. If there's smoke and they find the fire, both things have to happen. What does that mean for him? I guess we're a long way from that.
Yeah, no, we are. And the person that actually like initially put it out last night, it turns out he had like a fake profile pic from like 2016, 2017. I did a little digging on that. I wrote about it just a little bit ago. It's on Outkick.com. I talked to some folks at OU who were on the phone with John Mateer around midnight this morning, and he denied that he's ever gambled anything along those lines, which whatever. I mean, and also like there's also a big difference between gambling with some buddies, you know, compared to getting on FanDuel or whatever DraftKings app that you use and putting it out there. But like it just from the start, it felt like a Photoshop type of deal. And then I kind of did a little bit more digging and I saw his transaction history went away. But then also at the same time, like, have you ever went down the rabbit hole of seeing what your friends say that they're paying other friends for on Venmo? Like it's some of these stupidest things. Like I went down, like literally an hour last night. I was looking at what my friends paid other people, and I was like, you guys are ridiculous. Let's just put it on private. So I look, Oklahoma compliance has been on the phone with him. He denies it. Obviously they're going to look into it, but this can be, even if he did, David, like all he has to say is, no, I was being a smart aleck and I was replying with some buddies and having some fun. I literally did not put sports gambling, USC versus UCLA. I'm not that stupid. Thank you. Even if he was actually doing it. So whatever. We'll see what comes of this story. I expect Oklahoma to put out a statement later today. And we'll see where it goes from there. From something that started at 11 o'clock last night and still has legs today, I was kind of baffled by it because it was so stupid to actually believe, right?
Well, I was going to say that's awfully specific. And if the quarterback of your team is that stupid, you don't want him to be the quarterback of your team, right?
No, man. If you're putting sports gambling in your transaction description to your buddies, I mean, I send Venmos to others and I just do a handshake emoji.
Ava Davis, today's your last day on the program. So I'm going to, well, first off, you've been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Such a good experience.
Good. I'm happy you had
Thankful to be
fun.
here.
Now, can you tell the people what to do, but also rhyme all of the time like a fine wine, if you don't mind?
No, probably not.
Okay, I tried. I tried really hard.
Yours was good. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and come back tomorrow for more.
And no, I was going to try to rhyme more. It was about to be something wrong. We'll see you next time.